Now, a few things about my famous work itself. The Aeneid, as I said before, was a book that I had not finished to my satisfaction, and I actually, upon my death, desired that it should be burned, destroyed, not satisfied with the work that I had done. But Caesar Augustus determined that this should be his great work for building the empire, and instead he set people to work finishing it and preparing it for publication. Now, this book is based directly upon the works of Homer, which I am told you have already read, the Odyssey. Uh, he was the great epic poet for the Greeks, and I wanted to become the great epic poet for the Romans, which I successfully did. The opening line of my book, in Book 1, is, in some translations, "I sing of arms and a man." In that opening line, I am tipping my hat, as it were, to Homer himself. The arms represent the Iliad, a book of war, and the man represents the Odyssey, a book about the great hero Odysseus. In the Iliad was part of my inspiration for this book, for Aeneas, the great hero of the Trojans, was mentioned as one who was destined to survive, and so he is the one who became the hero of my Aeneid, the one who later founded Rome itself. Also in Homer, Poseidon at one point says that Aeneas will rule the men of Troy in power, which happened after he had established himself in Italy. Also, my work is written in dactylic hexameter, the same epic meter used by Homer and by all other epic poets when writing of epic heroes and battles. The first 6 books of my book represent the Odyssey and tell of the journey of Aeneas from Troy to Italy. Now, Odysseus was traveling from Troy back home, and it took him a long time and many adventures to get there. It also takes Aeneas and his men many adventures to arrive in Italy, where they are destined to establish Rome. And on the way, they actually follow in the path of Odysseus most of the way. I wrote that they stopped at similar places like the Cyclops, and that they had similar adventures. And in some parts of my book, I try very directly to remind the audience that of Homer's work itself. And as you read, you should look for moments where I am pointing you back to the stories of Homer. Now, the second 6 books of my book are all in reference to the Iliad, the war part, the arms part. And this is where Aeneas and his men fight to claim Italy for themselves, or Latium more precisely, and are able to win that land for the establishment of their colony. Now, I have some very heavy and important themes as well that appear in my book. The first of these is pietas. Pietas is the Roman concept of duty. Duty to the gods, to family, and to the country that you are from. Now, Aeneas is the perfect example of pietas. I wanted him to be a picture for people of this virtue of pietas. In some ways, he is similar to your hero of Captain America, a character who is supposed to represent all of the American qualities of loving freedom and fighting against tyranny. Well, my Aeneas is a character who always makes decisions because of his duty to the gods, to serve them, to protect and serve his family, and to serve his country, which his ultimate country is Rome, which has not been established yet in the book, but which he is fated to begin the line that will establish Rome. For it is from Aeneas who come Romulus and Remus, who build the city of Rome itself. After the chaos of the Civil War, which had just been fought between Octavian and Mark Antony, and between Julius and Crassus and Pompey, Augustus needed something to bring stability to the empire. And so he asked me to write this book in order to build up the morality of the Roman people. At the time, he even had morality laws. People had become so immoral during that time of corruption in Rome that he was trying to turn the tide back to the way things ought to be, and had laws encouraging people to stay faithful in their marriages and to worship the gods. Even tax breaks for those who did these things. And the Aeneid was part of this scheme to give people a hero who would be a picture for them of Roman piety, who would look to them what it would look like to be the perfect Roman. Another great theme in my book is gravitas, the Roman sense of national unity and the seriousness of love for your country. Gravitas was a virtue admired by the Romans. It was being serious about religion, about politics. And as part of that, strict discipline and devotion was an important feature. And so my hero Aeneas is constantly making decisions in order to show his discipline and his control. Cicero himself said piety is the foundation of all the other virtues. And it means fulfilling both your social and your religious duties, submitting your own desires to the good of the community. And that is what Aeneas is forced to do over and over again, surrendering his own desires for the greater destiny of establishing the Roman Empire, a duty that he had to his people and to the history of Troy. The idea of sacrificing yourself for a higher good is also found in the Odyssey and the works of Homer, with Odysseus controlling his stomach by using his mind and exercising self-discipline for the greater good of returning home to his wife and family. Now, my last great theme is fatum. Fatum is the Latin word for fate. The fate of the Roman Empire was to be destined for greatness, to rule the entire world and bring peace to it. It was a Roman imperial destiny that we should become the people who brought the reign of peace to the world and maintain the cause of order, justice, and freedom, of withstanding the barbarians and stopping them from destroying our civilization. And finally, there is the theme of death and rebirth. Just as in the Odyssey, Odysseus traveled down to Hades, so also Aeneas travels down to Hades, and there he sees even more fully the history and the future of the Rome that he is about to establish. And we see the heroic descent into hell, and we also see Troy rising from the ashes of its destruction and being rebuilt and reborn. Now, as you read this, my great work, I hope that you can see some of these themes and ideas within the story. Now, just like the Odyssey, this begins in media res, in the middle of the story, as Aeneas is just arriving or is about to arrive in Italy. Or, I'm sorry, not in Italy, in Carthage, where he is going to face a challenge to his devotion to Rome. I hope you enjoy, again, Ego sum Publius Virgilius Maro, and I bid you good day.